One of the largest investors in a major cruise company just told the entire board of directors, in so many words, to fire themselves. And they own enough of the company to force the conversation. Plus, a cruise ship went completely dark at 3 a.m., leaving passengers without power, air conditioning, or working toilets. Can you say poop cruise version 2? And it's the second time that same ship has done it in under a year. And a $600 million resort that was supposed to be the next must-visit cruise destination just got frozen by a court order. If you've booked with or even are considering any of these lines, this is a week worth paying attention to. Hi, I'm Melissa, a university professor who loves to cruise and who loves to talk ship. If you caught last week's episode, you already know that Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings pulled the plug on CEO Harry Sommer and replaced him with a guy who has fast food credentials. Yeah, he ran Subway restaurants. Now, that was a big deal in and of its own, and I talked about this last week, but what happened just a few days later might end up mattering a lot more for anyone who actually books on Norwegian or its sister companies, Oceania or Regent. Elliott Investment Management, one of the most aggressive activist investors in the country, just revealed that it owns more than 10% of Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings. That makes Elliott one of the company's single largest shareholders. And what does that mean? Well, on February 17th, they sent a letter and a full presentation to the Norwegian board, and the title alone tells you all you need to know, which is Norwegian Now. Their argument, boiled down, not to get too businessy, is that Norwegian has been mismanaged for a decade. They point to strategic misjudgments, poor execution, and a long erosion of investor confidence. Norwegian stock is one of the worst performers in the S&P 500 over the past 5 years, and the company has fallen way behind competitors like Royal Caribbean and Carnival in just about every measurable way. Now, here's why this matters for cruisers beyond Wall Street. Elliott wants the entire board replaced with new independent directors who have actual cruise industry experience. They floated the name Adam Goldstein, who's the former president and COO of Royal, as a potential board nominee. And they also criticized the decision to hire the fast food guy, pointing out that while he's run Subway and Burger King, he has zero, nada, zip executive experience in cruising. Now, Elliott has done this before, most notably at Southwest Airlines. And when they get involved, things change fast. And not always for the better. Just ask the Southwest Airline fans. They've told the board they prefer to work things out, but if the board doesn't make a move, they're prepared to take their case directly to shareholders at an upcoming annual meeting. So for my Norwegian fans, this is one worth watching. When an investor with this much pull pushes for tighter operations and new leadership, the ripple effects show up in ways that cruisers are gonna feel. So what does that mean? That means pricing, onboard revenue strategy, how aggressively they develop destinations like Great Stirrup Cay, even how many passengers they try to put on future ships. Elliott specifically called out Norwegian's failure to invest in its private island while competitors have poured billions into theirs. The direction of the company is up for grabs in a way that it hasn't been in years. Now, this kind of corporate upheaval, it plays out over months, but this next story played out in a single night, and people who lived it didn't get any warning. Passengers on Celebrity Infinity woke up at 3 a.m. to complete pitch black darkness. No lights, no air conditioning, no water, no working toilets. Sound familiar? Again, poop cruise, right? The 25-year-old ship on its final stretch of a 13-night Mediterranean sailing from Barcelona had just lost all electrical power when it was off the coast of Greece. Some guests reported hearing a Bravo announcement over the PA system, which you never want to hear because that's code for a possible fire on board. Celebrity has not confirmed the exact cause of this, but the local Coast Guard reported an electrical malfunction in the ship's control panel that resulted in a loss of steering. Tugboats had to tow the ship in, and Celebrity Infinity was supposed to arrive at port at 7 a.m. on February 15th and stay overnight with passengers disembarking that next morning. But instead, once the ship was docked, Celebrity told everyone to leave a day early. One guest posted that the back-to-back cruisers who were booked for the next sailing and were already on board were actually sent to hotels and told not to leave any of their belongings on the ship. Now, you might think there's a lot of compensation for this, but not so much. Compensation for the shortened sailing included $300 per stateroom, a refund of the unused day's fare as onboard credit, and up to $200 or $400 for flight change fees. But here's where it gets worse. The next sailing, an 11-night Greek Isles and Turkey itinerary, was set to depart on February 16th. Well, that was canceled entirely because the ship needs more time for repairs. Guests on that voyage will get a full refund plus a future cruise credit equaling 100% of their fare, along with hotel reimbursement of up to $300 per night for 2 nights and $100 per person per day for incidentals. So that's a little more generous, but some would say not enough. This is the second major power failure on Celebrity Infinity in under a year, and that's a little cause for concern. Last July, a small electrical fire knocked out power and force significant itinerary changes. So for a 25-year-old ship, that pattern is going to raise some real questions about whether maintenance investment is keeping pace with the ship's age. Maybe it's time to put her out to pasture. Celebrities' compensation is more generous than what some other cruise lines have offered in similar situations, and that's worth acknowledging. But I want to know what you think. If you woke up at dark at 3 a.m., no air, no working bathrooms, you had your entire Greek Isles vacation canceled with less than 24 hours notice, would any amount of future cruise credit make that moment okay? Now, if you're considering booking an older ship, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with the old, smaller ships, some of my favorites are actually some of the older ships. They have a lot of charm, they're smaller, they're less chaotic and crowded, the elevators don't suck as much. Check whether there is a recent pattern of mechanical issues, because we've seen this thing play out over and over again. A ship that just came out of dry dock doesn't automatically mean it's problem-free and completely good to go, and a ship that has had recurring electrical failures is telling you something. And we saw this too with Carnival Vista in the past year and a half or so. So these are always things to be mindful of when you're booking a cruise or you have one booked. So those stories land differently when you're the one standing in the terminal having to reschedule your flights. But this next story is about a change that you might not even notice until someone taps you on the shoulder. You probably don't think much about sunglasses, and you certainly wouldn't think of them as being something that a cruise line would confiscate. But if they're smart glasses, Royal Caribbean security team now has the authority to take them right off your face. Royal Caribbean just updated its prohibited items list to restrict smart glasses like Meta's Ray-Ban, which is probably what most people know of, and similar devices from any manufacturer in several areas on board. The restricted zones include public restrooms, youth program areas, medical areas, and the casino. So this is not just a blanket ban. You can still wear them in your cabin, on the pool deck, and most public spaces, but walk into one of these spaces, like a restroom, casino, whatever, and you are in violation. Passengers who use smart glasses as their prescription lenses are advised to bring a backup non-smart pair of glasses to use in these restricted areas. And if you don't comply, the chief security officer or captain is authorized to confiscate those glasses. Royal Caribbean isn't the first cruise line to do this. MSC banned smart glasses from all public areas late last year, and MSC has a pretty well-known track record of being strict about filming on board. Royal Caribbean's approach is narrower. It targets areas where privacy and child safety concerns are the highest, but their direction is clear. Smart glasses are getting more popular and more capable, and cruise lines are drawing the line before problems start rather than after. So I kind of like the proactive nature here. So if you love smart glasses and you wear them daily, especially if they're prescription ones, make sure you know this and plan for it before you board. And I wouldn't be surprised if other cruise lines follow suit in this upcoming year. Now, that policy is about preventing something bad from happening, but the next story is about a project where bad timing just keeps on piling up. An abandoned, rusting water park on the coast of Mexico. Doesn't sound like it would cause problems for one of the biggest cruise companies in the world, right? But the demolition of that water park just triggered a chain of events that could delay a $600 million project. Royal Caribbean's Perfect Day Mexico, planned for a site near Costa Maya, was supposed to transform the Western Caribbean itinerary into something magnificent. Now, the vision here is pretty grand. A 200-acre resort, massive water park, the world's longest lazy river. I love me some lazy rivers, and enough capacity to eventually draw 7 million visitors just to this one spot a year alone. The planned opening is for fall of 2027, but right now the project is stalled, and not just on one front, but on multiple fronts. A local environmental group called DMAS filed a legal challenge arguing the land use approvals that were granted were done without the required public consultation. A federal judge agreed, and this past week that injunction was made permanent. And what that means is that it freezes land use changes while the lawsuit plays out. DMAS says they're not against the project, but they just want the law followed, and they're concerned about the impact on protected mangroves and the town's water supply. Separately, Mexico's Federal Environment Enforcement Agency has halted demolition at one of the 3 project sites after finding landfilling and compaction activities in a mangrove area without authorization. Royal Caribbean says that the work was to clear the old water park and that they had been told no additional authorization was needed. Okay, Royal Caribbean, that's an interesting we didn't know defense. But they brought in 2 independent environmental consultants to try to help them with their cause. Now, on top of that, residents in nearby Nuevo Mahahual staged a protest at the port last week while 3 cruise ships were docked, blocking access and demanding better roads, lighting, security, and garbage collection. And as someone who cruises to Costa Maya frequently, I love Costa Maya, but they need some infrastructure improvements badly. You cannot take a taxi ride anywhere, even in the more developed areas, without it being bumpy pothole city. Royal Caribbean insists that construction hasn't actually begun and the timeline hasn't been impacted, but environmental reviews, court injunctions, and community opposition, these things don't resolve quickly, especially when they stack up on top of each other like this. So if you're a cruiser and you were planning on Perfect Day Mexico being open for 2027 Western Caribbean sailing, keep a close eye on this. Now, Costa Maya, it will still be there as a port, but the resort experience that Royal Caribbean has been promoting is not guaranteed to be ready on schedule. And as someone who doesn't always love the theme parkification of cruise port destinations, and I love the local culture of Costa Maya in particular, I actually wouldn't be too sad about it. But I want to know what you think about the future of Costa Maya. I'm including the next story because it's the clearest reminder this week that ship medical centers have hard limits, and those limits carry real and sometimes very tragic consequences. Paris Singleton Ayero was 21 weeks pregnant when she boarded Norwegian Jewel in Tampa on February 1st for a 4-night cruise to Cozumel. It was a music-themed charter called the Rise and Rhythm Cruise. She was well within Norwegian's pregnancy policy, which allows guests to sail as long as they're under 24 weeks by the end of the voyage. She had no complications. Her doctor's appointment was actually the day before, but unfortunately during the cruise, Paris went into premature labor. And tragically, her son, John Jr., was delivered in the ship's medical center, and he was born far too early to survive. Paris was medically evacuated to a hospital in Cancun, where her daughter, Journey Rose, was also delivered prematurely, and she did not survive either. Paris was only able to reach her husband by video call from the hospital in Mexico, and he met his children for the first time over a screen. The family now has to navigate the logistics of bringing their twins home, which does require foreign death certificates, legal clearances, and a lot of coordination between countries. A family friend has set up a fundraiser to help with medical bills and repatriation costs. Now, there's no policy failure here to point to. Paris followed the rules. She did everything right. Norwegian, they followed the rules. They did everything right. And this is nothing more than a sad, tragic, and unfortunate story. And my heart goes out to Paris and her family. The pregnancy cutoff exists precisely because cruise ship medical centers, they're just not neonatal intensive care units, and they just can't support extremely premature deliveries. So if pregnant cruisers are wondering why this policy is in place, well, this is a reason why. This family is now living with the worst case version of that reality. And again, they did everything right. They were within all of the policies. Everything was going great, but it's just how life is sometimes. So if you're pregnant and considering a cruise, even within the allowed window, it's worth talking honestly with your doctor about what medical care might look like if something went wrong at sea, far from a hospital. Travel insurance that covers medical evacuation needs to be part of that conversation too. I always try to warn cruisers about this because a lot of them think that their health insurance at home covers them when they're at sea or abroad, and they don't even realize that medevac isn't covered even by many cruise line policies. So I do have an insurance guide for cruisers, and I'll drop my link below so you can check that out because this is really, really important. And most people that end up using travel insurance never thought they would until they needed it. And then they're very glad that they had it. Now, after a week like this one, this story is a small but welcome reminder of all the good and beautiful and fun and quirky parts of cruising and what cruising is actually supposed to feel like. 1,000 couples renewed their wedding vows at the same time across an entire fleet. Carnival Cruise Line coordinated the event on Valentine's Day, making it the largest vow renewal that the line has ever held. Yeah, of course, it's marketing, right? But it's still really sweet and romantic. And 1,000 couples choosing to stand together on a ship. And I love cruising, and I love cruising with my love, and I love, and it's very fun. But to see this many people say those words again is the kind of moment that you don't need a press release to care about. After a week of power outages, legal battles, and heartbreak, it's a good reminder that the reason people keep booking cruises has nothing to do with stock prices, board of directors, or court injunctions. Instead, it's about the magic and the beauty and the love of being out on the water with someone you love, whether that's a romantic partner or not.